Hey guys, it's Duane here from DewyHQ, and I'm back with another Persona 5 The Royal video. So today we're looking over, I believe it's Morgana's report, that's what they're classifying it as, but it was the information that came out on Thursday the 8th of May. This is my second time recording this. I had a bit of dramas doing the initial recording when it came to transferring the audio files, but that's okay, we can go back through it again. And pretty much I wanted to do an off the script video, so bit kind of hard to replicate, but that's okay. So I'll give my initial thoughts on the trailer and anything I've pointed out. Be sure to point out anything I miss in the comment section below. So let's kind of just dive into it and go from here. So essentially, I'm just going to turn this volume down so it's not so loud for me. Essentially, it's just a little video YouTuber kind of style discussion with Morgana, where he discusses about the new gameplay and stuff that we saw in the last Persona trailer. So I think they're going to trickle out information as they go, and I think, what do? They kind of focus on new characters and stuff, so I feel like we're going to get one of these at least maybe twice a week. No, not twice a week. Once a fortnight, I should say. So pretty much this is just Morgana talking about the trailers and that he's excited for the game to come out. Again, I don't speak Japanese, so I don't quite know what he's going on about, but it's pretty visually indicating, if that makes sense. So this is a story segment, so let's have a look here and we can see what we can break down. We've pretty much got some gameplay for screenshots we had in the magazine and on the website. So first up, we get a new expanded cutscene of when we saw Kazumi getting harassed by this old man, I believe it is. I think it's been pointed out that this person doesn't actually know Kazumi. And we have Joker step in, and then we get this brand new scene showing that Kazumi is actually thanking Joker, and this seems to take place at the Shujin Crosswalk, I believe this is, because I believe these gates behind Kazumi actually lead to the Aoyama Achome platform that you'd use to go to school, so I think most players would have explored that when they first arrived here, and there's a few extra cutscenes that take place around here, but this is what it looks like to me. It could be a completely different area, but I'm pretty certain this is the Shibuya Crosswalk. It looks like the colors have been readjusted for this scene as well, so the poles and stuff are different. We then cut into some gameplay of Kazumi, and we can kind of see her sword stance, so we can see that she's got the one-handed rapier. And what I pointed out when I previously recorded this is that most of their health is pretty low, so I'd say they're around 40, level 40, level 50. I'm leaning towards level 40, 45, roughly around there. But the one thing that we can take away from this is we won't get Kazumi until we unlock Haru, as you can see here. All the gameplay that's been shown so far, it has been with Haru in the party, so that kind of seems to indicate that she won't join the team until after we get Haru. So it's going to take place after Haru's dungeon and then before Sai's dungeon, or possibly during Sai's dungeon. But as we can see here, we're in the early levels of Mementos because we can see Jack-O-Lantern, Mandrake, and Pixie. I'm assuming this is in the first level of Mementos, just kind of showcasing how she works. As we can see, she's wearing a gymnast's outfit, if that makes sense, but we can kind of get that from the original scans and stuff. There's been a lot of controversy about her legs. I don't really see the issue, but you know, each to their own. But she's wearing a gymnast outfit, so I'd say the addition would be the tights, to be honest. But moving on, we do get to see her stance when she draws her weapon. It's been pointed out that she takes a lot of inspiration from Joker with the same color gloves. It's kind of hard to see here, but she's wearing red gloves, and she has a tail cut similar to Joker. So she might see Joker as a source of rebellion, as like, for my best example is that Makoto sees the source of rebellion, which is what their thief outfit takes after, if that makes sense, and she sees it as a biker. So and it's kind of why her persona is a motorcycle. So, but moving on, we can see that she has a couple of shots in her pistol, and we can see her critical hit animation. We've seen this before, but it's nice to see. We get a little bit more gameplay of Takuto Maruki, and we can see him sitting in his new office. I'm assuming this is a new room that we didn't have access to in Persona 5, the original game. I might actually have to go explore the school and kind of work out maybe where his office is. The one real important thing that I wanted to note about this entire confidant, this new confidant in general, is that his number is actually number 1, and the magician arcana is number 1 as well. They had a similar sort of parallel with this in Persona 4, the Golden, where Adachi's social link was actually the same number as Chariot for hunger. So it might be a little bit of foreshadowing to say that he might be the opposite side of Morgana, meaning that if this confidant is story related, so it only unlocks or upgrades through the story, I feel that this character will have a lot to do with the story. If it's an optional confidant, like maybe Sojiro or Iwai or something like that, there's a high chance that he won't have a high impact on the story. But with the number 1 and him being a completely new confidant, and they've all described him as a nice man, that kind of sets off some red flags for me. But moving on. This seems to be the first kind of cutscene where Ann actually approaches him, and I believe this would take place as soon as he arrives, so I'm guessing she's going to be talking about Shiho. We get this new cutscene. This seems to be in the park with Makoto. We can see Makoto is talking at the moment, but I don't believe this is when she's part of the party, if that makes sense. We can tell that it's not Makoto because we've got Ann, Ryuji, Mishima, and Joker. Makoto isn't anywhere to be seen here, but we do see her in the next scene. But I believe this is during either a cross-country or possibly a cleanup in the park where all the students are participating. But wearing their sports uniforms, I believe it could be a cross-country, and that'd be an interesting event. But Joker's kind of got his school bag, so I'm thinking it might be a cleanup in the park, but we'll have to wait and see. Again, we get the same cutscene with Makoto talking on the megaphone, and we also see Haru here. Not much to add here, it just seems to be the same sort of cutscene. We get this brand new cutscene that we had a screenshot for, where we can see Ann, Haru, Futaba, Makoto, Ryuji, Kazumi, Joker, and Yusuke all hanging out at the shrine on the 1st of the 1st, which is the New Year's event. As most players would know, the game actually ends before you get to this date, so I'm assuming they've adjusted and added new events for the 3rd semester, but I'm interested to see what direction they do and what direction they take, and whether they'll change the final dungeon that you have before this date. I won't kind of announce that here unless you haven't played the game, but if you have, you kind of know what I'm getting or alluding to, but essentially you can't actually make it to this date in the original game. And I assume that they're adjusting or readjusting that entire final arc, which I'm quite pleased about because it was a great arc, but it got kind of muddled towards the end. But moving on, we can see that the girls all have new portraits for their yukata outfits, I believe. And just new outfits for Ryuji and Yusuke and stuff like that. They've all got completely new winter outfits, which is cool to see. Now, this is an expansion on the last kind of screenshot we had from my previous analysis. Be sure, if you haven't seen the previous analysis, I keep referring back to it, but go and have a look at it. We can see what we believe to be a human form of Morgana. We can kind of gather this from the blue eyes and the yellow kind of collar V-neck shirt that he's wearing, kind of alluding to the collar that Morgana normally wears. The interesting thing about this is that we've got Futaba in a beanie. Everyone seems to be going nuts over that. We've got Wakaba, which is Futaba's mother. Now, if you played the game, this doesn't quite add up to what's going on here, but again, we don't know what's going to happen. And we've got Sojiro and Joker, but I think the oddest thing about this is that Joker's sitting by himself. Seems kind of odd to me. But I'm pretty sure they're asking about why Morgana is now a human or why he's here. So it's quite interesting, and Morgana actually comments on it in Japanese, saying that this person looks very familiar. So I'm assuming it's definitely Morgana. And we get Futaba in a beating. So we get left with a to be continued, but as you can tell, we've still got 2.5 minutes left to go. So this is where we kind of explore the phantom life, if that makes sense. So we roll through. Morgana's talking a bit more. Next, Morgana seems to talk about the phantom thief life. He exclaims that, Kichijoji's a new area. We get an extended kind of trailer look at Kichijoji here. I'll pause it here, that way we get a better look. We didn't actually get this far down in the original PV trailer. If you're after a complete breakdown of Kichijoji, head on over to my PV01 analysis video where I go way more in depth there, but I even do a breakdown of the map and this seems to kind of allude exactly to what I was thinking it would be. But On the right here, there's a stationery store. I'm assuming this is just gifts for your confidants, but you can give during gifts. I don't think I ever gave a gift during my playthroughs. I don't think it was quite necessary. And we also have a clothes store, as you can see down here, this little shirt. What I'm assuming is that you can buy the DLC outfits from the previous game, similar to what they did in Persona 4 Golden, where you could buy the outfits of the other school uniforms. And I kind of hope they just kind of lean away from DLC this time around. And I've got a few theories on what they could do with the Personas, but it was a bit of a rip-off unless you got it during that Golden sale, which I think the Golden sale had it for like $20, 20 US, or it was 30 Australian dollars, but you got all the DLC for Persona 5, which is not bad considering a Persona pack was like $2 each, and it was just like, yeah, it's a bit steep. But moving on. Again, we get another shot of the Penguin Sniper. This seems to be the exact same. We roll through, we've seen these cutscenes before in our previous breakdown. It's pretty much just darts and billiards. Nothing new here, but moving on, we get a live roll of what a date or an outing with Kazumi would be at the new aquarium. This seems to be just a new place similar to the Planetarium or Chinatown or any of those 2D dimensional events where you can't physically explore the place, but you can just go there. So I'm assuming this is just a social link or confidant event where you can take Kazumi to. Next, we get a kind of a breakdown or a visual gameplay showing that your friends can send photos through. They did this limitedly in the original game. There was about 4 or 5 screenshots that were sent throughout the entire game. And I'm glad that they're doing this because it kind of adds a little bit more social media aspect to it. Here we can see that this is from the first heist party at the buffet. So we can see Ryuji, Ann, Joker, and Morgana. But yeah, it's just adds that little bit more of bonding and friendship to it. After this, we cut to Caroline and Justine at Destinyland. Joker seems to be taking them out of the Velvet Room, which is cool. I really hope they've readjusted the entire confidant or social link events because it was just a fusing fest and it didn't really build up a bond with these two, so it didn't quite make too much sense. So I'm hoping they kind of go in the direction of the request versus fusing fest or even just a traditional social link in an aspect where you kind of build a relationship with these characters, and hopefully, since there's a third semester and if they don't change what happens towards the end of the game originally, I'm really hoping that we get an extension of this confidant, if you know what I'm saying. Moving on. Again, it'll be interesting to see what the interactions will be. Next, we get Morgana talking about how the Velvet Room has changed colors into this red smoke. I've had some previous kind of speculation to what this could be. I'm assuming that it's gonna result in more fusion accidents, or possibly you have the chance to get skills on personas that you normally wouldn't. For example, Arsene, which is the starting persona, can't learn gun moves, and I'm hoping that like maybe it breaks those boundaries where you can learn gun moves. So possibly if you level him up through Gallows, he could inherit a gun move instead. So possibly that could be the case. We also see here, I've noticed that Justine seems to have a new animation of some sort. I'm not quite sure what's going on here, but yeah, you can see that she's doing like stretches or something like that. But moving on here, we also see a ramped up bike horn. I'm thinking that the weather may have an effect on this, and possibly this is just a special enemy. But there's a next cutscene that might allude to this, which I'll touch on in a second. But I honestly thought this was a revamped boss fight from the original game where Ryuji unlocks his persona and he versus a couple of bike horns, and I think it was a Archangel or something like that. It was something to that effect. But on closer inspection, I've noticed that we've got Joker, Morgana, Ryuji, and Ann. So this means this takes place after the story-locked kind of cutscenes of the palace. So this has to take place after you get Ann. Ryuji comments that, you know, this guy's all souped up and it's a bit strange. We get this nice little cutscene of Joker cutting through these vines, and from what I thought was actually a treasure demon spawn, this seems to be something completely different. So it's a skull growing on a couple of vines, and I think this might allude to what happens in the previous scene where there was an enemy souped up. So what I'm thinking at this point in time, I don't think it's a treasure demon per se. I think it's a special, it's either a story related or palace related item where you need this to unlock a door, or possibly this is an optional treasure that you can steal, but as you're trying to make your escape out of the palace, there's a high chance that those souped up enemies can appear, but if you get it outside the palace and sell it, you get like, I don't know, like 100,000 yen or something like that. So I'm thinking it might be a risk versus reward treasure, but we don't know until we get the game or a little bit further. So that's what I'm thinking at this point in time. But yes, it goes to the to be continued, and Morgana kind of talks a little bit more about what's going on. But essentially with Morgana, he's just saying, you know, that it goes on sale on the 31st. So I'm assuming that we'll get more of these Morgana reports at least once a month or once every fortnight or possibly once every 3 weeks. But again, I won't do a full breakdown unless it's actually a full trailer. For these, I can kind of just skim through and just give it my thoughts on the video. But that's pretty much it for the video. But if you want a full breakdown, like a full-on breakdown, be sure to check out my previous videos, like on the PV01 analysis and what my general thoughts, what I wanted for Persona 5R and Switch. I was going to do a video for Persona 5S, but it just seems to be a Warriors game, so I might touch on that a little bit sooner when we get more information about it, and maybe speculate on what characters could be in the game. But that's it from me. Be sure to put anything in the comments that I may have missed, or even your theories in the comment section below. I love reading everyone's opinions and getting ideas. It's just a fun part of speculation. But it was Duane here from DewyHQ, signing out. I'll see you in the next video. See you guys.